3 minutes, 32 seconds. A community watchdog investigation revealed it took dispatchers that long to send crews to a fire that turned out to be fatal in Johnson City earlier this year. That is more than 2 minutes longer than National Fire Protection Association standards, 22 seconds longer than the most popular song on the radio. It was an exceptionally long delay, one that Nate Morabito found out helped spark an across-the-board review of dispatch times some argue were just too long. And Nate joins us now in the studio with more.
Josh, here's some perspective for you. It took longer for dispatchers to dispatch that call than it did firefighters to actually respond to that fire. It's worth noting, fire marshals said the victim in this case was intoxicated at the time and removed 2 smoke detectors. He was from out of town, and only a few people were told attended his pauper's burial. We could not even find a picture of this man. Now, that's just one case. The fire chief and EMS director tell me up until recently, it took dispatchers too long to send them to emergency calls on average. They blame it on the process, not the actual people. Too many questions and too many seconds on the phone. A Johnson City issued safety study first raised questions about this earlier this year. But it wasn't until a couple months ago that dispatchers started speeding things up. Time.
It's not a pretty picture when you lose someone.
Lloyd Fleener has plenty of it these days.
He's just by himself, and he really misses Gil.
He used to spend every day with his good buddy and fellow veteran Gilbert King.
He was an affable, very lovable guy.
Gil used to eat 2 meals a day at his home.
Gil sat in that chair.
But his chair is now empty, and that void is here to stay.
I mean, you don't run around screaming and hollering, but it's on your mind 24/7.
Yeah, we got a fire on Watauga.
Gil was still alive when the first call came into 911 on the night of May 17th.
I'm at 406 East Myrtle, and it's straight across from me.
Within the first minute of that call,
I've seen flames right now.
the general area of the fire wasn't a mystery.
Right next to the Pope firm.
The caller was right across the street from the East Watauga Avenue apartment.
I'm just trying to find out the exact address.
But 911 wasn't ready to call in firefighters yet.
We're driving on the highway. It was on Watauga Avenue. A building is up in flames.
Even after 6 other people called in.
There's a fire that's off of Watauga. It's right off the interstate.
I was calling to report a fire off of East Watauga.
The specific address
I just got off the interstate at the Watauga exit, and there's a building burning.
remained unclear.
I need to know the exact address.
In the end, 911 says a total of 3 minutes and 32 seconds passed before dispatchers alerted firefighters. From there, dispatch says it only took fire crews 2 minutes and 7 seconds to respond. But by then, almost 6 minutes had already passed. Crews rescued Gil from the fire. Unfortunately, he later died at the hospital. The fire chief can now only wonder, what if?
I don't think that either of us will ever know, but, you know, our main objective is, of course, for the fire service is to get there as quickly as we possibly can. From our standpoint, I think the fire department did. I think we achieved what we were supposed to do.
He can't say the same for 911.
Dispatch could have been quicker.
What happened there?
We received six or so different calls with a different, none of them had an exact address. They had area of, we actually changed the address 3 or 4 times when we were doing that.
What are you doing to make sure that never happens again?
We are dispatching when we have a location, not exact location, but a location. If you see smoke, you don't know the address, we send the fire truck.
As a result of that fire, 911 has changed the way it handles fire calls. But that's not all.
There have been times that that we've looked at that, we think could have been dispatched quicker.
Both the fire chief,
the process is faulty,
and EMS director have pushed for quicker dispatch times when it comes to medical emergencies, too. State guidelines, which dispatchers call outdated, require 911 to dispatch EMS emergency calls within 2 minutes. Records reveal for the first 6 months of this year, it took 911 2 minutes and 10 seconds on average.
We want to make sure that there's nothing happening prior to our arrival that would cause worse outcome.
Luckily, Dan Wheely says those longer dispatch times did not have a negative outcome, but he says there was room for improvement. He remembers one call specifically.
It was a bee sting, patient with short breath. You know, they were administering epinephrine. I think it took it took like 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes to get the call out.
Trying to dispatch units, emergency traffic.
The 911 board has since set goals for dispatchers, a chance to hold them accountable.
Did some improvement.
And records reveal those performance measures are working.
We just have been watching our times and checking them daily and making, and improving on our times.
In the last 2 months, EMS's average emergency dispatch times have improved by 19 seconds. They're now well within state guidelines. Fire calls have also improved, on average by 16 seconds.
Seconds do count, and that's what we're trying to do. If we can shave off 5-10 seconds, that can make a difference, and that's by watching our calls real closely, and especially emergency calls, and getting them dispatched out faster, then it could save a life.
Historically, dispatchers have used a lengthy script to guide them through a call, an effort to get specifics and keep first responders safe. But in the future, 911 is considering changing its approach for the most serious medical emergencies.
We may initially dispatch before we ask all the questions.
The board is still researching that possibility.
They're getting the trucks out the door quicker.
Both EMS and fire say this is a good start.
I think everybody's working toward providing a higher level of service, getting there faster.
But they want to make sure 911, fire, and EMS all keep improving.
Time is money. We want to get that time as short as possible.
I appreciate the time from the time you get the call to wheels rolling.
Lloyd Fleener understands the importance of a quick response. Not only did he lose his friend in a fire that took 3 minutes and 32 seconds to dispatch, he's also a former volunteer fire chief.
The shorter you can make that, the more chance you have saving a life.
Now, Josh, this is all about time, right? 911 reports dispatch times for its most serious calls like cardiac arrest and shootings, stabbings are much shorter, on average 1 minute and 31 seconds for the year.
You said 911's considering some changes that could improve dispatch times. What changes?
All right, so the supervisors have created some committees that will review call data and come up with any necessary recommendations. That's about 2 to 3 months away from making those decisions. 911 also previously brought in a consultant to retrain staff and offer some other suggestions.
Nate Morabito tonight. Nate, thank you so much. Johnson City's Police Chief Mark Soroy said he too supports anything that can be done to reduce the time from call receipt to safe arrival of the unit on the scene. However, he says, since EMS and fire basically respond to emergencies on every call, those agencies are impacted the most.